Today we're going to be sampling and taste testing the different varieties in the tomato tower. If you have not seen my tomato tower, if you go to my channel, you'll find videos about it there. We're not going to show it on the video today. All of these varieties have had limited production. They could produce better. I knew this whenever I started it. I just wanted to try out a tower. It was just a fun experiment is what it really was. Still, I'm getting a decent amount of food out of that little space, so it's been wonderful, but keep in mind that all these varieties could produce better in bigger pots. I'm also going to be saving seed while I'm taste testing them today. I'm going to be fermenting them. So if you don't know how to ferment seeds, be sure to stick around to the end and we'll cover fermentation as well. As we're getting started, I would also like to remind you guys to like and subscribe because I do plan on doing a seed giveaway this fall, this winter. Since the garden isn't going during that time, it's a great time to do fun little things like that to share the wealth of our gardens. Now first we're going to be doing the Chibbiko tomato. It is mildly sweet. It's acidic and tangy, so it's quite a pungent little tomato. It packs a punch. It is very traditional in flavor. It's a dark red tomato, and it's also cherry in size, so it's not a bad option. I do want to say that this one performed the best in the tomato tower. It grew big, it put on quite a few tomatoes, so this one would be a real rock star in a bigger pot. Next, we have the Rosy Finch tomato. It's sweeter than the Chibbiko. It's not super sweet, but it is sweeter. It's milder in flavor, so it's a little less acidic. So if you're not into a super strong acidic tomato, this one is a great option. It's rosy pink in color, not quite red. It's a very pretty little tomato. And as you can see in the video, two of them weren't fully ripe. They were blushed, but they were not ripe. I would like to let you guys know that if you're trying to save a seed, as long as the tomato has blushed in color, you can save the seed. It doesn't have to be fully ripe to save the seeds. Next, we have the Pygmy tomato. It is mild and acidic, so it's a little bit stronger in acidity than the Rosy Finch is, but it's still a delicious tomato. It's very pleasant and slightly fruity as well. It does have a traditional flavor to it, but it is a little more on the fruity end. The Pygmy is red in color, and you'll see that there are two very tiny little tomatoes there. And the reason those are so small is because one of the Pygmy plants actually got a little bit too water stressed, actually caught the flu, so I didn't water the tomato tower for a couple of days, and by the time I had noticed, he was dead, but the Pygmy was looking pretty rough. So those two little tomatoes wound up ripening prematurely due to severe lack of water. So that was my fault, and that wasn't the size of the fruit. It was just how the plant reacted to the stress. Next, we have the Ampeltomate. I will have to include the full name at the bottom of the screen for you guys, but it is quite acidic, yet sweet and fruity. Some of the tomatoes that I pulled off this plant were very acidic. They would make you pucker. They weren't very pleasant. So this one seems to be a bit of a wild card, and perhaps it's because I have a couple different plants growing. So maybe one plant is sweeter than the next one. But in any case, they were quite acidic, and it was fairly prolific. They were very lanky in nature as compared to the other plants, so they took up a little more space. And they were reddish pink in color. They weren't a bad tomato, but I probably would not grow this one again. I wasn't a huge fan of it, and I love most tomatoes. So not bad, but not good enough to grow again here. And last, we've got the Pinocchio orange. I absolutely loved this one. It was slightly sweet and acidic. It was a very balanced flavor. It was bright. And these were small cherries, yellow-orange in color. Again, I really liked these. These were, aside from the orange hats, these are some of my favorites. Today you won't be seeing any of the orange hats because I actually had to harvest them early and save seed from them already. So I'm going to show you those seeds but they are my favorite. They are just above the Pinocchio orange. They are sweeter. They're absolutely delicious. I loved those. The orange hats are currently all the rage in the Micro Dwarf family right now. So if you haven't tried orange hat, I definitely recommend it. I absolutely love them. They are very short, bushy plants, so they perform a little bit better in the smaller space, but again, they could have performed even better had I given them a little bit more space. Alright, so let's move along to fermenting the seed. Now whenever I save tomato seeds, I ferment them. I put them in a little cup or into a jar. I then cover them with water and I leave some of the pulp in the jar. Then I set them out on my counter for several days. Fungal spores that are naturally in the air, bacteria, they're going to come in and they're going to begin colonizing the water, the tomato pulp, the seeds, and they're going to feed upon the sugars that are in our cup. So you will see mold growing, the water will get cloudy, and you'll really begin to smell it. It starts to stink there towards the end. So whenever you see cloudy water, it looks a little moldy and it is quite stinky, you know they're ready. Whenever you go to clean them, you're going to want to rinse them out. You may want to scoop any mold off the top. Then you're going to want to rinse them, spin them around a little bit, just stir them with a spoon, pour the water out, rinse a time or two until it's a little more clear. Try to get your pulp out. And then you want to grab a mesh strainer, pour them into the mesh strainer, rub them around a little bit with your fingers to get any remaining gel coat off of them. Then once you rinse them, you pop them onto a paper towel or a paper plate and let them dry in the open air for 3 to 7 days. It's harder to tell when tomato seeds are dry. You can't do a brittle test on them. So I tend to try to leave them out on the counter for a week before I put them away. And this will prevent your saved tomato seeds from molding, which can be a big issue if you store them in plastic like I do. Well, that's the end of today's video, guys. If you have any questions, be sure to leave them in the comments below and I will get back to you. Again, I would like to give away my excess seeds this fall or winter, so if you're interested in free seeds, aside from maybe paying for postage, I would be happy to send some your way. It gives me something to do and I love knowing that I'm giving back to the community. So it's a lot of fun for me, and lots of families gain something from all of these free seeds. They can increase their garden size, improve their genetic diversity in their garden. So it's a great thing all around. So if anybody would like any of those seeds, be sure to give me a follow and keep checking in, and I will let you guys know what kind of varieties we're dealing with this year. Thanks for dropping in, guys.